Okay guys, so someday I'll show you a blooper reel of all of my failed video attempts, including this latest one where I got a little bit into this and Joseph Francis started barking incessantly out the window. Thumbs up for working from home. Alright, so I'm going to start again. This book is called This Little Trailblazer, A Girl Power Primer. And I borrowed it from one of my friends, and it's a great book. It's not necessarily a book that I would normally have read out loud to us as fourth graders, but we are going to be doing this project in social studies and writing called the Trailblazer Project later on, in which you're going to be learning about different people who you feel sort of blazed the trail for other people to come. So it's people who did something that other people hadn't done before, or that were accepted doing something that maybe people like them weren't already accepted doing. So there are two different things you can take away from this picture book, other than the fact that it's just a really fun, great book. And no matter how old you are and how good of a reader you are, you can always read any kind of book you want, and don't let anybody tell you differently. But one takeaway is you might hear a name that you hadn't heard before that you suddenly want to learn more about, and that's a great thing that you can do. Another thing that you can do is you can say, okay, that's great, those people sound interesting, but maybe you can come up with your own This Little Trailblazer book. So if you're bored on a Monday or a Friday or any of those times in between, you might think about doing an expert project where you don't have to know as much about the people, so you're not really having to do this 3-paragraph biography about the person, because sometimes that's daunting. Maybe instead you just want to write a little bit about each person. So maybe you'll learn something new about a person, or maybe you'll just really like the format. Either way, I hope you enjoy it. So This Little Trailblazer, a Girl Power Primer. And I really like the pictures in this one too. Paving the way to a future that's bright, helping the world with their skills, smarts, and might. Little trailblazers cause great big changes. This little trailblazer helped think of a way to do math with machines called computers today. Ada Lovelace wrote one of the first computer programs. The U.S. government later named the computer language Ada in her honor. So you notice what I was talking about. There's a little rhyme over here about her, and then there are just a couple sentences over here about her, and that's enough to keep people interested. You don't have to write when they were born and when they died and who their third brother was and what their pet's name was. You can leave all that out and still write a great book. This little trailblazer had the courage and skill to organize hospitals and care for the ill. Florence Nightingale began the first professional school for nurses. She was nicknamed the Lady with the Lamp. This little trailblazer became a millionaire by designing simpler clothes for women to wear. Coco Chanel disliked the tight dresses of the early 1900s. She created comfortable styles that women still love today. This little trailblazer caused a big fuss by not giving up her seat on the bus. Rosa Parks' bravery helped change an unfair rule that African Americans could not sit by Caucasians on the bus. This little trailblazer practiced hard at the bar. In the Firebird Ballet, she soared like a star. Maria Tallchief was the first prima ballerina of the New York City Ballet and the first world-famous Native American ballerina. This little trailblazer could run, jump, and throw. When she hit the track, crowds cheered, "Go, Wilma, go!" Wilma Rudolph wore a leg brace as a girl, yet she became the first American woman to win 3 Olympic gold medals in track and field. This little trailblazer can settle a fight about whether a law is wrong or right. Sonia Sotomayor is the first Latina judge and third woman to serve on the Supreme Court of the United States. This little trailblazer marched to first grade and changed every school with each step she made. Ruby Bridges was the first African American child at her school and helped change things so that kids of all colors now learn together. This little trailblazer designed a V-shaped wall carved with heroes' names that's beloved by all. Maya Lin is the architect and sculptor who created the popular Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. This little trailblazer helps girls everywhere to be treated in ways that are kind and fair. Malala Yousafzai, I think I said that right, wants all children to be free to go to school. She is the youngest person to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Computers, lawmaking, designing ballet, how will you change the world someday? And if you notice, these are just some other really cool women. Joan of Arc, a teenage girl who led the French army to fight England in the 1400s. Elizabeth Stanton, first woman to run for Congress, co-organizer of the first U.S. Women's Rights Convention. Harriet Tubman, a former slave who led other slaves to freedom in the Underground Railroad. You cannot see that. This is really hard to read upside down. Elizabeth Blackwell. This doctor was the first woman in the U.S. to earn a medical degree. Juliette Gordon Low. She began the first Girl Scout troop in the U.S. to teach girls leadership skills. And Nellie Bly, one of the first undercover news reporters, she wrote about poor people's problems. Bessie Coleman. Bessie Coleman was the first African American woman to get a pilot's license to fly airplanes. Frida Kahlo was one of Mexico's great artists, and she's famous for painting pictures of herself. You've probably seen them. Lucille Ball, a superstar actress who was the first woman to run a major TV studio. Ella Fitzgerald, this jazz singer was the first African American woman to win a Grammy Award. Indira Gandhi, the first female Prime Minister of India. And then Hillary Clinton, first woman to run for President of the United States with a major political party. And then for all my girly girls out there, you! Although if you're a boy, you can certainly be a trailblazer. You just probably wouldn't be in a girl power primer trailblazer. Yeah, so I'm sorry that I pronounced some of the names wrong and that I messed up a little bit. I don't want to have to restart just because it's not perfect, because I think that's probably okay with you guys. Joey's been a little distracting today. But yeah, I hope you got some good ideas. I think this is a really nice framework if you're just trying to create your own book of things that you know about. So maybe you start collecting all the people that we've learned about or all the people that you're getting ready to learn about. And this might be a way that you show me or your classmates what you learned. All right, go out and blaze those trails.